You are not separate from the universe. Not now, not ever. The illusion of separation is the root of every wound you carry, every fear you rehearse, every moment you forget who you are. But the truth, the quiet, pulsing, radiant truth, is that everything you see is a mirror. And when you look closely enough, when you still yourself enough to really observe, you'll find that even the mirror reflects something far more vast than your reflection. It reflects your source. It reflects God. And God, too, is a mirror for you. We spend so much of our lives chasing reflections in the outer world, mistaking appearances for meaning, mistaking form for substance. But what if I told you nothing you see is random? Nothing you encounter is accidental? What if every interaction, every event, every face, every heartbreak, every moment of joy was simply another mirror showing you you? You see, the soul is not interested in blame. The soul is not interested in who's right or who's wrong. The soul is here to remember, to awaken. And one of the highest truths you'll ever remember is that life does not happen to you. It happens through you, and then it happens for you, and ultimately it happens as you. So if everything is a mirror, what do the people in your life reveal about what's unhealed in you? What do your judgments say about the parts of yourself you've yet to love? What does your impatience show you about where you've imprisoned time? And what do your resentments echo but the places you still hold yourself hostage? Every time you point a finger, your soul gently whispers, "Come back." Every time you criticize another, life holds up a mirror and asks, "Can you see yourself in this reflection?" Because healing doesn't begin by changing the reflection. It begins by changing what stands before the mirror. That is you. That is consciousness. That is power. The universe is not outside of you. It is inside of you, reflecting outward. Your relationships, your experiences, your repeated patterns, they are your teachers disguised as circumstance. They are the curriculum your soul signed up for. And the faster you stop trying to erase the mirror and start cleansing the image within, the more peace, power, and liberation you will discover. But most of us are terrified of this truth because it means we are responsible. It means the storm is not out there, it's within our interpretation of it. It means the betrayal you feel isn't only about what someone did, it's about what you continue to do to yourself when you refuse to forgive. It means that what you resent in others might still be alive in you, dormant, unacknowledged, or simply unloved. That is not a condemnation. It is your liberation knocking. The ego resists this fiercely because to the ego, everything is about control. It wants to assign fault. It wants to keep you the victim. It wants to ensure you stay separate from them, from love, from God. But the soul does not operate in that dimension. The soul does not seek to control. It seeks to surrender, to return, to remember that it is already whole. And when you begin to live from the soul instead of the ego, every mirror becomes sacred. You'll find that even your enemies are mirrors. That the ones who wounded you the deepest were the ones carrying your medicine in the most painful packaging. That the people who triggered you were unconsciously illuminating the places you still needed to integrate. They were not here to destroy you. They were here to awaken you to yourself. And when you begin to see through the eyes of the soul, everything shifts. Suddenly, your life is no longer a chaotic sequence of random events. It becomes a sacred unfolding, a living, breathing revelation of consciousness, a mirror house made of grace, reflecting to you all the forgotten parts of your wholeness so you may remember who you truly are. Now here is the greatest mirror of all God, but not the God of fear, shame, or punishment, not the God wrapped in dogma or trapped in religion. No, the God I speak of is the one beyond name, beyond form, beyond doctrine, the God that is not outside of you, but within you and through you and as you. This God does not judge. This God reflects. When you look into the face of divinity, you are looking at your highest self, not your ego, not your wounds, but your true essence, love, timelessness, eternal being. God is not separate from you. God is the mirror of your awakened self. And the more you return to that space, the more you shed the illusion of separation, the more clearly you see everything has always been one. Even the darkness is a mirror not of evil, but of the light that's been hidden, waiting to be remembered. Even the chaos is a mirror not of cruelty, but of the disorder within that seeks integration. Even the silence, the moments you call empty, are mirrors of the vastness within you that words cannot touch. So if you are struggling, look not for someone to blame, but for a mirror to understand. If you are suffering, stop asking life to change its reflection and ask yourself, what energy within me is being mirrored here? You are the painter and the canvas, the sculptor and the stone. You are the dreamer and the dream, the ocean and the drop. You are the one standing before the mirror and the mirror itself. Everything is showing you something. Everything is inviting you to awaken. Every moment is sacred when you understand. Nothing is random and nothing is separate. There is only reflection. There is only truth. There is only God mirrored in all things. And so the question becomes not, why is this happening to me, but what in me is being shown here? That shift, that single sacred shift, is the doorway to your freedom. Because when you stop trying to change the outer and instead begin to illuminate the inner, your entire world transforms without force, without demand, without resistance. For the mirror of life cannot reflect what is no longer there. If you release anger within, the world no longer offers it back to you. If you forgive the part of yourself still chained to judgment, the world ceases to echo condemnation. If you love the part of you that felt unloved, life begins to reflect that love everywhere you turn. We do not see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And what we are is always being broadcast into the mirror of our reality. It shows up in our language, in our habits, in our choices. It shows up in how we greet the morning and how we treat the stranger. It shows up in how we pray and, more importantly, in how we listen. Because life is always speaking. Life is always revealing. Life is always holding up a mirror, asking, will you look deeper this time? Now hear this, everything you love in others is a reflection of what's already awakened in you. Every time you admire courage, integrity, gentleness, power, grace, you're seeing your own soul already shining. And every time something disturbs you, it too is a pointer, not a punishment, but a mirror, softly or sometimes harshly reflecting what is left unresolved within your own field of awareness. It is tempting to recoil, to cover the mirror when it shows you something unpleasant. But remember, the mirror is not attacking you. It is not judging you. It is simply showing. That's all a mirror ever does. And that is the grace of life. That is the generosity of existence. Nothing is hidden forever. Everything will eventually rise to the surface, not to shame you, but to free you. And what is freedom if not the ability to stand naked before the mirror and say, this too is me. And I choose to love what I see, not because it is perfect, but because it is real, because it is mine, because it is God in form, seeking to know itself once more. You were not born to fit into the image others painted for you. You were born to remember that you are both the artist and the masterpiece. And when you live like that, when you see every face, every sunrise, every sorrow, as part of the divine tapestry reflecting you back to you, you begin to walk through the world, not as someone lost, but as someone lit from within. You stop reacting. You begin responding. You stop blaming. You begin blessing. You stop running. And you begin returning again and again to the stillness, the silence, the sacredness within. And in that sacredness, You meet yourself not as the character you've been playing, but as the awareness behind the role, the timeless presence, the watcher of thoughts, not the thinker, the light behind the eyes, not the mask that wears the face. And in that moment of seeing, truly seeing, the mirror vanishes. Because there is no more separation. There is only oneness. Only the divine meeting itself in form. That is why the greatest act of healing is self-honesty. To tell the truth first to yourself. To say, yes, I see where I've held on to pain. Yes, I see where I projected my wounds onto others. Yes, I see how I made God in my image, instead of remembering I was made in His. And then to say, and I am willing to return. Return not to the story, but to the source. Return not to the pain, but to the power behind it. Return not to the identity, but to the infinite awareness that was never bound by any name, title, or label. You are not here to fix the mirror. You are here to clean your vision. You are not here to manipulate the reflection. You are here to dissolve the false self so that what reflects is only love. And love, true love, is the highest mirror of all. For when you see through the eyes of love, you no longer search for yourself in the world. You see the world as yourself. The child crying, that is you. The elder smiling quietly in the park, that is you. The stranger on the train. The enemy you swore you'd never forgive. The friend who stayed. The lover who left. All of them are you. Different expressions. Different faces. Same essence. God dances behind every eye you meet. And if you want to see God, if you truly want to encounter the divine, stop looking upward. Stop looking outward. Start looking inward. And then look gently into the faces of all you encounter. Because what you are seeing is the face of your own awareness filtered through their form. That is the sacred play. That is the divine illusion. That is the truth the sages whisper and the mystics sing. God is not hiding. God is reflecting. And the mirror is everywhere. And now, I invite you to consider, what would happen if you stopped resisting the mirrors life keeps placing before you? What would shift if, instead of turning away from what triggers you, you leaned into it gently, as if it were a guide? What if you began thanking the people and experiences that once caused pain, not for the suffering they seemed to bring, but for the awareness they stirred awake in you? Because in truth, you don't grow from the comfort of the reflection. You grow from the tension it creates inside you, the friction between who you think you are and who your soul is, urging you to remember that friction is holy, that discomfort is grace, that mirror, no matter how dark, is sacred. We are taught to fear what makes us uncomfortable, but discomfort is the invitation to heal, to see, to awaken. And often, the clearest mirrors are not the ones that flatter us, they are the ones that challenge us to evolve. When someone dismisses you, do you retreat or do you remember your worth? When life delays your plans, do you curse the timing or trust the unfolding? When someone betrays your trust, do you spiral into resentment or rise into deeper boundaries and clarity? Each of these is a mirror, and each offers you a choice. Will you react from the ego or respond from the soul? Will you repeat the pattern or rewrite the story? Will you judge the mirror or will you bless it? You are the alchemist here. You are the one who can turn the lead of reaction into the gold of awareness. But only if you're willing to stop projecting your pain outward and start reflecting it inward with love. The mirror is not here to trap you. It's here to reveal you. It's here to return you to the awareness that was never broken to begin with. That is why healing is never really about others. It's about reclaiming the pieces of yourself that you left behind in stories of victimhood, in chapters of shame, in roles you were taught to play but never truly chose. Healing is remembering, and when you remember, you return to your wholeness, to your sovereignty, to your divinity. And here's the paradox. Once you take responsibility for your reflection, You free others from having to carry the weight of your unhealed projections. You stop making others the villain in your story. You stop needing them to change so you can feel okay. You no longer require the world to bend to your preferences to feel peace, because the peace you seek is now generated from within, not borrowed, not conditional, but sourced from your own alignment. That is the mirror of power. And once you step into it, truly step into it, your life stops being a series of reactions and starts becoming a sacred expression of consciousness in motion. Look around you right now. Every object, every color, every texture, every sound, all of it is part of the divine mirror of this moment. Not random, not ordinary, but alive, vibrant, pulsing with intelligence. The tree is not just a tree, it's the breath of the universe captured in form. The sky is not just weather, it's the canvas of the infinite, painting you a message of surrender every single day. The stranger walking past is not a stranger, it's another fragment of God playing their part, mirroring back to you what you still seek or what you've already found. And then there's the silence, the great mirror of the soul. In silence, the ego has nothing to latch onto. It cannot perform, it cannot control, it cannot hide. Silence strips away all masks and shows you the vast, empty, luminous presence that has been there all along, the you beneath the thoughts, the you beyond the noise, the you that is not bound by body, name, or past. That you, the eternal you, is the one God sees when he looks in the mirror. Not your doubts, not your guilt, not your status or titles, but your essence, your light, your being. And that is why you were never meant to worship a God outside of yourself. You were meant to merge with the reflection of God within yourself. Because the more you awaken, the more clearly you see the line between you and God begins to dissolve. Not out of arrogance, but out of reverence. Not because you are God in totality, but because you are not separate from God in any way. Just as the wave is not the ocean, but it is never not the ocean. Just as the flame is not the fire, but it is never apart from its source. So too are you. You are a reflection of the divine, unique, radiant, and indispensable. But the moment you forget this, you begin to suffer. You begin to believe the mirror lies. You begin to chase external validation instead of internal truth. And the more you chase, the more fragmented you feel, because you're looking into the mirror of the world, asking it to tell you who you are when you had the answer all along, resting silently within. So the real invitation is this: stop chasing the reflection. Start becoming the light that casts it. The mirror does not define you. It reveals you. And what it reveals is always a gift, even when it comes disguised as a loss, a heartbreak, or a delay. Because every delay is a mirror of trust. Every heartbreak is a mirror of deeper love waiting to be born. Every loss is a mirror of spaciousness, inviting something more aligned. And every person who leaves is a mirror of the part of you that's ready to grow beyond that chapter. There are no accidents in a world made of mirrors, only revelations. And once you begin to truly see, not just look, but see with the eyes of the soul, the entire fabric of your life transforms. Not because the scenery changes, but because the seer awakens. The mountains remain mountains, but now they speak to you. The winds still blow, but now they whisper truth. The faces in your life do not shift overnight, but what they represent becomes infinitely more sacred. Because you begin to live with awareness, you begin to see the entire universe as a living mirror of consciousness dancing for you. You no longer beg the world to change, because you realize the world is a mirror of your own being. You no longer demand others to be more loving, more honest, more kind, because you have become those things within yourself. And so life reflects them back without effort. This is not magic. This is alignment. This is spiritual law. The world rearranges itself to reflect the vibration you hold. You radiate resentment, and resentment meets you in traffic, in conversation, in your own skin. You radiate peace, And peace echoes back in synchronicities, in quiet moments, in how strangers treat you. The mirror is always honest. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't accuse. It simply reflects what you are being, not what you are pretending. So the question is not, what do I want the world to give me, but rather, what am I offering to the mirror of life? If you want more love, become love. If you want more truth, speak truth, live truth, embody truth. If you want peace, stop clinging to the stories that keep you at war with yourself. Because life cannot give you what you are unwilling to become. It is not because life is cruel. It is because life is lawful. Because the mirror cannot project something that isn't first offered in its light. And in that, there is no punishment, only feedback, only clarity, only divine reflection. There is such freedom in this, when you no longer look outside yourself for your source of peace, joy, or worth. When you recognize that everything out there is simply a feedback loop of what's alive in here, then you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the conscious creator of your experience, not by controlling outcomes, but by aligning your inner state with truth. And that alignment, that deep, soulful alignment, is the greatest gift you can offer to this world. Because when you are aligned with the highest in you, you automatically reflect the highest in others. Without even trying, you become a mirror not of your pain, but of your peace. You become a mirror not of your ego, but of the divine presence within you. And people feel it, not through your words, but through your energy, your presence, your silent being. That's why true spiritual transformation is not loud. It does not need applause or validation. It happens quietly, like the sunrise. It breaks gently across the sky of your inner world. And suddenly, everything you touch begins to glow with new light. This is what the awakened soul knows. I do not need to change the mirror. I only need to return to the truth of what I am. You are not your story. You are not your past. You are not your wounds, your labels, or your roles. You are awareness. You are consciousness. You are the reflection of God remembering itself in form. And every moment of your life, every seemingly small encounter is an opportunity to choose that remembrance again, to wake up again, to look at the mirror and say, there I am. Thank you for showing me what I had forgotten. Even the difficult people, even the losses, even the moments where nothing seems to make sense, they are all mirrors calling you home. Home is not a place. It is a state, a knowing, a quiet, unwavering awareness that you are already whole. So when life feels overwhelming, when your reflection seems distorted by fear or pain, pause, breathe, go inward, not to escape, but to realign. Because the clearer your inner vision, the clearer the outer reflection becomes. And when you reach that place, when your inner world becomes a sanctuary, not a battleground, the mirror no longer frightens you, because there's nothing left to hide, nothing left to prove, only presence, only truth, only light. You begin to live as a mirror of love itself, not because you have no flaws, but because you've stopped seeing yourself through the eyes of separation. You've stopped mistaking the mirror for the identity. You've stopped trying to fix your reflection and started embracing your essence. And that, my friend, is when you become the clearest mirror of all the kind that doesn't reflect surface appearances, but reflects back the soul. The kind of mirror that reminds others of who they really are. The kind of mirror that says, you are not broken, you are not lost, you are simply remembering. And in your reflection, others begin to remember too. This is how you heal the world. Not by demanding it change, not by condemning it for its darkness, but by becoming the light within yourself, so that all who see you remember that the light lives in them too. Everything is a mirror, including God. And the more you soften into that truth, the more clearly you see that the face of God is not just in temples or scriptures or statues, it's in your breath, It's in your neighbor's eyes. It's in the stranger on the bus. It's in the hand that trembles and the heart that forgives. It's in the tears you shed when you finally realize there is nowhere. God is not. There is nowhere God is not, and there is nothing you are not reflecting when you open your heart wide enough to see through the illusion. Even the mess is divine. Even the uncertainty, the grief, the ache of being human, it's all part of the sacred dance of remembrance. The ego says this shouldn't be happening. The soul says this too is part of the mirror. Let it show you something. And what a miracle it is when you no longer reject what life places in front of you. When you no longer need to label something as good or bad, but instead say, this is here and so am I, and together we will understand. That is the moment the reflection changes. Because now the mirror is no longer bouncing back your resistance, it is amplifying your acceptance. And that acceptance is the first step into freedom. To accept does not mean to agree. It does not mean you condone every behavior or tolerate every pain without action. It means you stop waging war with what is. It means you allow the reflection to be there without denial. And from that space, you begin to choose not from fear, but from clarity. Not from lack, but from wholeness. Not from reaction, but from remembrance. You begin to choose relationships that mirror your inner peace, not your unhealed chaos. You begin to walk into rooms and feel yourself radiating instead of searching. You stop chasing love because you finally see that you've been the source all along. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So become what you seek, and let the mirror reflect that becoming. Let every rejection reflect your rising self-worth. Let every heartbreak reflect the deepening of your capacity to love. Let every delay reflect the divine orchestration that sees what you cannot. Let every frustration be the teacher reminding you to let go of how you thought it should be and fall in love with how it is. This is the sacred mirror of life. It is always loving, always honest, always evolving with you. And in its deepest reflection, when the illusion is stripped away, you do not find a world staring back at you. You find stillness, silence, God. That is why so many mystics and sages withdraw into the silence, not to escape the world, but to meet the original mirror, the still, unchanging presence within which all things arise and return. And once you've seen that, once you've touched the formless essence behind the form, everything else in life becomes an echo of that one sacred truth. I am not this name, this body, this history. I am the one who watches, who loves, who creates, who returns. I am the divine in disguise. And so are you. So is your neighbor. So is your child, your parent, your partner, your past. Even the pain is sacred when you understand that it too reflects an unmet part of your light. Can you imagine living like this every day? Not as a theory, but as a felt truth. To wake up and see everything not as a problem to fix, but as a mirror to receive. It would change how you walk through the world. You would no longer argue with reality. You would no longer defend yourself so fiercely. You would no longer need to prove or persuade or punish, because when you live as a mirror of peace, the war ends first within, then without. And that's what the world needs now. Not more opinions, not more noise, not more fear masquerading as control. It needs mirrors of grace, mirrors of compassion, mirrors of presence, mirrors of God, not the God we argue about, but the God we reflect when we remember who we are. You don't have to preach it, you just have to live it. Live as if everything is a mirror, because it is. Live as if God is not a destination, but a reflection, because He is. Live as if your presence is enough to remind someone else of their light, because it is. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to become so true, so real, so aligned that the world naturally begins to shift its reflection. This is not about perfection, it's about presence. This is not about never falling. It's about seeing each fall as another reflection calling you higher. And when you begin to live this way, gently, honestly, spiritually awake, you discover that life begins to speak to you in whispers. Synchronicities arrive like echoes of your inner voice. Miracles become commonplace, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You've stopped seeing through the eyes of fear. You've stopped projecting shadows and started illuminating them. You've stopped running from your reflection and started bowing to it. That's what this moment is inviting you to do. To stop, to breathe, to soften, and to really look at what life is showing you, because the reflection is not there to shame you, it's there to free you. It's saying, beloved, this too is you, and you are safe to heal now. Even the ugliest mirror is a blessing when held with love, because it reveals the wound, and once you can see the wound, you can offer it the one thing it's always wanted, your presence, your forgiveness, your truth. You do not have to fight your reflection. You simply have to meet it gently, as you would a child who has forgotten who they are, because that's what you are sometimes. That's what we all are sometimes. A divine child staring into the mirror of this world, trying to remember, I am not the pain. I am not the past. I am not the mask. I am the love that sees it all and still says, I am. And when at last you are tired of running, tired of defending, tired of trying to rearrange the mirror to fit the fractured image you've held, you'll come to stillness. Not because life broke you, but because it gently brought you back to the truth you had abandoned. You'll sit not in despair, but in surrender. Not in defeat, but in the vast, sacred openness of awakening. And it will be there in that sacred quiet that you'll see the clearest reflection of all. Not your face, not your body, not your name, but your being. The light behind the thoughts, the awareness behind the eyes, the presence that cannot be possessed, only lived. And in that presence, you'll know, I was never the reflection. I was the one reflecting. I was never the story. I was the space it played within. I was never the broken glass. I was the light that passed through it. And then it will all make sense, not as an idea, but as a felt, trembling, knowing in your chest. God was never hiding. God was reflecting. God was in your heartbreak, your joy, your silence, your breath, your ordinary mornings, and your sleepless nights. God was in the mirror, all along not watching you, but being you. And all the mirrors you shattered in anger, all the reflections you rejected in shame, all the images you chased in longing, none of it was wrong. None of it was wasted. It was the path. It was the invitation. It was the divine curriculum bringing you back home, not to who you were told to be, but to who you always were. A soul made of light, shaped in love, reflecting infinity. When you know this, truly know it, the kind of knowing that doesn't speak, but vibrates in your cells, your eyes change. You no longer look to condemn or compare or control. You look to see. You look to honor. You look to reflect what is holy in everyone and everything, even in the things that once scared you, especially in the things that once scared you. You begin to understand that everything that ever came into your life was not to test your worth, but to remind you of it. That even the chaos was organized by grace. That every soul you ever met, friend, lover, stranger, adversary, was a mirror sent to polish your own, sent to show you something, sent to reflect the infinite in you that had temporarily forgotten its origin. You begin to see that the world is not broken, it is covered in mirrors, begging to be looked into with love instead of judgment. And your life, your precious, messy, miraculous life, is not a mistake, but a mosaic of mirrors reflecting every shade of your divinity. The sorrow, it showed you depth. The betrayal, it taught you boundaries. The silence, it reintroduced you to your own voice. The waiting, it gave you back time. The loss, it turned you toward eternity. And the mirror, again and again, never lied. It only waited for you to see with new eyes. So now, breathe. You are here, fully here. And everything is showing you, not the surface you, not the striving you, but the you that existed before any mask, before any fear, before any role was given or claimed. That you is holy. That you is whole. That you is a mirror of God. And there's no need to search anymore. No need to wrestle with reflections. No need to edit your soul to fit into someone else's lens. The mirror is clear. The message is simple. You are not apart from life. You are not apart from love. You are not apart from God. You are what God looks like in this form, in this time, in this breath. You are what love chose to reflect when it said, "Let there be light." So walk softly now, with your heart open and your spirit grounded. Speak gently, for everyone you meet is facing a mirror of their own. Look tenderly, for in every face is the light you once forgot and now remember. Live fully. For this moment is your most honest reflection. And when you pass a mirror, pause, not to critique, not to adjust, but to bow. For in that reflection, in those eyes, in that breath, you are seeing what God sees. When God looks in the mirror, and that is enough. That is everything. That is the truth that sets you free. Now go, not to chase your reflection, but to become the light that no longer needs one. Let the mirror dissolve. Let the self dissolve. Let only love remain. Let only God remain. And let the silence now be your final mirror, so wide, so still, so whole, that you no longer see yourself at all, only the light, only the light. There is a rhythm to this universe that no clock can capture, no calendar can predict. It is the rhythm of the divine. It moves not according to your impatience, not by your logic, and not by your ego's demands, but by something infinitely wiser, infinitely vaster. Divine timing is not late, not early, and never wrong. It arrives like the tide, not to meet your schedule, but to meet your soul's evolution. When you begin to understand this, not as a concept, but as a living truth etched into the silence of your being, something inside you relaxes. You stop measuring your life by the ticking of time and start measuring it by the expansion of your awareness. You no longer say, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" but rather, "What am I being prepared for?" There is no coincidence. There is no accident. Every delay, every detour, every door that would not open was not a rejection, it was a redirection. Life, in its infinite intelligence, has never denied you anything. It has only ever rerouted you to something more aligned with who you are becoming. But the ego does not see alignment. It only sees delay. It only sees absence. It only sees lack. That is because the ego lives in time. The soul lives in truth. And truth is never rushed. The acorn does not argue with the oak it's destined to become. It doesn't complain about how long it takes. It doesn't wish to be another tree. It simply surrenders to the season it is in. It trusts the dark soil and the silent work happening beneath the surface. So must you. You are not being delayed. You are being deepened. We suffer not because life withholds, but because we cling. We cling to timelines, to expectations, to ideas of how and when things must unfold. But divine timing does not ask for your timeline. It asks for your trust. And trust is not passive. It is the most powerful act of surrender. Trust is choosing to believe that even when nothing makes sense, everything is working. That even in silence, there is movement. That even in stillness, something sacred is being orchestrated beyond your view. What appears stagnant is often the space where transformation takes root. The butterfly is not born because the caterpillar pushes harder. It is born because the time is right. And the time is always right, but only to the one who has stopped resisting what is. You were not born to race the clock. You were born to awaken. And awakening does not happen according to schedule. It happens in divine time when the conditions are ready within you, when your spirit is ripe for remembering, when you're finally tired of forcing and start listening instead, listening not to the noise of the world, but to the whisper within you that says, be still, trust this. There is a part of you, ancient, infinite, eternal, that already knows this truth. It is the part of you that has never been in a hurry. It is the part of you that does not panic in the pause. It is the part of you that recognizes that nothing real can be lost and nothing meant for you will pass you by. Let that part of you speak louder now, because everything that you've been waiting for, everything your heart aches to see, is not outside of you. It's unfolding in the unseen. Life is not denying you, it is preparing you. Every unanswered prayer is not a punishment, it is a protection, a recalibration, a sacred pause to make space for something greater. Divine timing does not work to make you comfortable. It works to make you conscious. You see, when you are truly ready, not mentally, not emotionally, but spiritually, you will find that what you once chased begins to arrive without effort. The partner, the peace, the purpose, they do not show up because you demanded them. They show up because you became a vibrational match. Divine timing does not bring you what you want. It brings you what you are ready to hold. And to be ready is to be whole. To be whole is to no longer seek from lack, but to offer from fullness. You stop praying for something to complete you and start radiating the energy that attracts all things naturally. You stop chasing what you think is missing, and you realize nothing is missing. You are already in sacred company, already on holy ground, already part of a divine unfolding that your mind may not understand, but your soul has always trusted. It takes courage to live this way, to let go of your plans, to surrender your agenda, to breathe through the discomfort of not knowing. But this courage is the doorway to miracles. Because miracles do not happen on your timeline, they happen on God's. And God's timing is never rushed by your worry. It is not disrupted by your fear. It is not swayed by your doubt. Divine timing flows from a place that is beyond manipulation, beyond control, beyond your will. It is born from alignment. And alignment comes not from pushing, but from allowing. So let yourself allow the unanswered to be sacred. Allow the delays to be divine. Allow the waiting to be holy. Do not despise the space between the seed and the bloom. Do not curse the rain, the dark, or the dormant. Every season has its place in your becoming. You are not being punished by time. You are being initiated by it. Initiated into patience, into presence, into peace, into the kind of inner freedom that does not depend on outer events, into the kind of knowing that no longer rushes toward the future because it has finally remembered the presence of now. Now is always sacred. Now is always enough. Now is always on time. Even your pain has its purpose. Even your confusion is a corridor. Even your heartbreak is a holy teacher. Not one tear is wasted. Not one setback is random. Every piece of your story is being woven into something radiant, something only divine timing could orchestrate. But here's what you must understand. The soul does not measure progress by speed. It measures it by surrender. It does not ask how far you've come. It asks how deeply you've trusted. And trust is the pathway to all things unseen. Divine timing is the language of the soul. And your soul is fluent in its silence. So slow down, breathe, let go of your deadlines. Release the white-knuckled grip you have around the future. You are not behind. You are not off track. You are not too late. You are exactly where you are meant to be, not by accident, but by grace. You are not waiting for life to begin. Life is waiting for you to open, to soften, to receive what has always been yours, but only at the appointed time. And that time will not be announced. It will arrive like a breeze, quiet, unexpected, transformational. And you will know, not because of a sign in the sky, but because your soul will sigh. Now is the moment. Now is the miracle. Now is always divine. You are not late for your life. That idea only exists in a world ruled by comparison. But your soul does not compare. It unfolds. Like the petals of a lotus, it opens in its own rhythm, untouched by the clock, unmoved by the pressure. The soul does not bloom because others have. It blooms because the moment is right, because the inner soil has been tilled by tears, softened by surrender, and nourished by grace. You are not behind, you are becoming. When you accept this, truly accept it, the anxiety begins to dissolve. You stop racing the phantom of someone else's path. You stop chasing a version of success that was never written for your spirit. And you start living from presence instead of pressure. You no longer look at someone else's breakthrough and feel small. You look and you remember their time is not your time. Their purpose is not your purpose. The divine does not duplicate destinies. It only fulfills them in unique and perfect ways. Let that truth free you. There is no peace in the timeline your ego demands. There is only tension. There is only striving. There is only a constant hunger to arrive somewhere other than here. But you cannot arrive at peace by abandoning presence. You cannot reach joy by resenting the now. You cannot taste the fruit before the roots are formed. Divine timing is the great teacher of this truth. Every delay has been a blessing in disguise. You may not see it in the moment, but one day you will look back and say, thank God that didn't happen when I wanted it to. Because you weren't ready then, not because you were flawed, but because life was still preparing the soil, still shaping the circumstances, still healing the fractures you hadn't even seen, still aligning the pieces in a way that only spirit could orchestrate. Readiness is not determined by desire. Readiness is a vibration. It is the energy of wholeness. When you vibrate in alignment with what you seek, you don't have to chase it, it meets you. That is the magic of divine timing. It doesn't answer your prayers in panic, it answers them in peace. And it waits until you're home within yourself before it delivers what you've asked for. You are not forgotten, you are not unseen. The delay is not a denial, it is a doorway. A doorway into deeper faith. A doorway into greater trust. A doorway into the kind of inner clarity that cannot be shaken by the winds of time. You are not being punished by waiting, you are being prepared by it. The wait is the work. The pause is the place where the sacred rearranges you so that when the right moment comes, you don't sabotage it with your fear. You were never meant to force anything. You were meant to flow with everything. Look at nature. The rivers do not rush to their destination. They meander, they carve, they flow. Not by urgency, but by surrender. And still, they arrive. The seasons do not compete. Winter does not rush to be spring. Each one honors its time, and so must you. There is beauty in honoring your season, even if it looks like stillness to the world. It may be the most active time for your soul. The greatest transformations happen in the dark. The seed does not sprout in the light. It breaks open beneath the surface, in silence, in obscurity. And you too may feel buried right now. But you are not buried, you are planted. You are in the sacred stage of becoming. And when the timing is right, nothing and no one will stop the bloom. So be gentle with yourself. Speak to yourself the way Spirit would speak. With love, with patience, with reassurance. Tell yourself, I may not see it yet, but I trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. Let this trust become your practice. Let it become your prayer. Let it become the lens through which you see every delay, every closed door, every unanswered question. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is wait without worry, breathe without rushing, be without proving. Let life come to you in its own way, in its own time, with its own kind of perfection. There is nothing wrong with you because it hasn't happened yet. There is only ripening, there is only alignment, there is only divine orchestration happening in the unseen, shaping what your eyes cannot yet perceive. And it is not your job to control the how or the when. Your job is only to remain open, willing, and rooted in trust. The divine does not forget its appointments. It never misses its cue. It is not late, it is precise. And when your moment comes, when the door opens, when the alignment strikes like lightning across the sky of your being, you will know it was worth every unanswered question, every tear, every moment of doubt. Because the gift that arrives in divine timing is never just what you wanted, it's what your soul needed all along. That's the difference. What the ego wants often comes with a price, but what spirit delivers comes with peace. You do not have to sacrifice your soul for what is meant for you. You only have to align with the truth of who you are and allow life to meet you there. Do not confuse stillness with stagnation. The universe is never still. Even when the surface seems quiet, the depths are in motion. So too are you. Even now, something within you is shifting. Even now, you are becoming a more fertile ground for the miracles you once begged for. You are the prayer. You are the timing. You are the place where God shows up, not in fireworks, but in presence. Not in drama, but in alignment. Trust this. Trust the closed doors, for they are divine detours. Trust the quiet, for it is the soil of revelation. Trust the unanswered prayers, for they are the guardians of greater blessings. Trust the seasons of isolation, for they are the spaces where spirit reshapes you without distraction. Most of all, trust that you are not waiting for life. Life is waiting for you to stop running, to stop grasping, to stop forcing, and simply become still enough to be found by the grace that is already on its way. Let yourself be found. Let yourself be held. Let yourself believe that divine timing is not a punishment, but a promise. A promise that what is truly for you cannot be lost, missed, or delayed. It can only arrive exactly when you are ready to receive it fully. And when it does, it will feel like coming home. Not to a place, but to yourself. The greatest illusion the ego maintains is the belief that we are in charge of time, that we are the masters of beginnings and endings, that we can orchestrate the symphony of life according to our own design. But the soul knows better. The soul knows it is not the conductor, it is the instrument. And when we surrender to divine timing, we allow ourselves to be played by the hands of the infinite. What emerges from that surrender is not weakness, it is music. A harmony that could never have been composed by the mind. A melody that rises only when the heart is still and open. You begin to notice that what you thought was a setback was a setup. That what you perceived as loss was actually rearrangement. That what you judged as stagnation was spiritual gestation. You were not forgotten in the silence, you were being softened. Softened so that you could receive, not just externally, but internally. Because nothing that arrives externally will fulfill you until you are inwardly prepared to hold it with reverence. Divine timing ensures that what is meant for you will not only enter your life, it will remain in your life, because you will have become someone who can sustain it. That is why you must trust the wait. There is a divine architecture to your life that cannot be mapped by intellect. It can only be revealed through surrender. You do not see the blueprint, but the builder does. And the builder is never careless. Every beam of timing, every brick of delay, every window of uncertainty is placed with sacred precision. When you stand in the house of your destiny, you will see that even the crooked walls were necessary to bring you home to yourself. But you must be willing to release the illusion of control. Control is the armor of the fearful. It says, if I just try harder, push faster, manipulate better, I can make life bend to my will. But life does not bend to will. It flows through trust. Control may give the illusion of progress, but trust brings the reality of peace. And peace is the foundation upon which all divine things are built. You were never meant to strive your way into blessings. You were meant to align your way into them. Alignment is the holy yes to life as it is. It does not mean you give up desire. It means your desire no longer comes from lack. It comes from love. It means you no longer say, I must have this to be whole, but instead, I welcome this from my wholeness. And when you live from wholeness, timing becomes your ally, not your enemy. The ego says, you should be there by now. The soul says, you are right on time. Every soul blooms in divine sequence. The oak tree does not bloom in spring like the cherry blossom, and the cherry blossom does not judge the cactus for blooming under the desert sun. Every soul has its season. Every path has its pace. And when you honor your own, you free yourself from the suffering of comparison. Comparison is the thief of peace. It convinces you that your worth is measured by how fast you manifest. But true manifestation is not about speed. It's about alignment, resonance, readiness. It's about becoming a vessel that can carry the magnitude of what you've asked for. The universe is not withholding from you. It is waiting for your energy to rise to the level of your request. This is the great invitation of divine timing, to rise, not to race, to rise into patience, into purpose, into presence, to let your growth be the magnet that draws what is meant for you. You do not find your blessings by chasing them. You attract them by becoming who you were born to be. And who you were born to be does not panic in the waiting. Who you were born to be remembers that delays are sacred, that detours are instructional, that even endings are beginnings wearing a different costume. You stop resisting what is and begin listening to what is rising. Because when divine timing moves, it doesn't announce itself. It arrives like dawn, quiet, golden, unmistakable. And those who have learned to trust the dark can receive the light without fear. They no longer cling to the old. They no longer force the new. They allow, they accept, they flow. They trust that every season of their life is a classroom for the soul. You are not late, you are learning. You are not forgotten, you are forming. You are not abandoned, you are being aligned. And when you are aligned, nothing is lost. Everything that is meant for you will find you, not in the chaos of effort, but in the stillness of faith. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is deep remembrance, a return to the knowing that you are already held by something infinitely wise, something that sees 10,000 steps ahead, something that knows exactly when to close a door and exactly when to swing it wide open. Let that knowing soothe you. Let it quiet the voice that says, it should have happened by now. Let it dissolve the anxiety that clings to clocks and deadlines. Let it remind you that you are not on the world's time, you are on soul time. And soul time does not run on urgency, it runs on expansion. The more you expand, the less you force. The more you trust, the more you receive. The more you surrender, the more life reveals its mysterious grace. You begin to walk not ahead of yourself, not behind yourself, but with yourself. And in that sacred companionship with your own soul, you arrive at the only place you were ever meant to be, here. Now, this moment, this breath, this is where divine timing begins, not in some future manifestation, but in your willingness to be fully present with what is. This moment is not in the way, it is the way. It is the seedbed of everything that is coming. It is the holy ground on which your future takes root. Honor it, bless it, trust it, So here you are, not waiting anymore, but awakening, not chasing anymore, but becoming, not counting the hours, but consecrating the moment. And in this holy surrender, something shifts, something softens, something returns. You remember what the ego worked so hard to forget, that you were never separate from the timing of the divine. You were never off course. You were never out of sync. You were always being guided, always being led, always being shaped, not by delay, but by design. Every ache in your chest was a crack through which the light entered. Every prayer that seemed unanswered was an echo, reverberating through a larger orchestration. You could not see it, but the hands of grace were always moving, always aligning, always waiting for you to let go, not because you were being punished, but because your fists were clenched too tightly to receive the miracle. And now you know, the waiting was never empty. It was sacred. It was the chrysalis that transformed you slowly and invisibly into someone who could carry more light. Someone who could love without condition. Someone who no longer begged the universe for answers, but bowed to its wisdom. You are not who you were. The self who demanded the world move faster has dissolved. The self who needed everything to make sense has softened. What remains is truer, quieter, more spacious. You are now a vessel that can receive without needing to control, that can trust without needing to understand. And this trust is the gateway to freedom. Because freedom is not found in having everything you want exactly when you want it. It is found in realizing you are whole, even when nothing has arrived yet. It is found in breathing peacefully through the unknown. It is found in the sacred recognition that everything unfolds not by your command, but by divine alignment. And divine alignment has never failed you. It has placed you in the presence of teachers cloaked as hardship. It has rearranged your plans when they no longer matched your evolution. It has cracked open your heart so that it could stretch wide enough to hold the immensity of love you once feared. And it has brought you here not by mistake, but by miracle. So let the old story fall away now, the one that said you were too late, too behind, too broken, too lost. Let that voice go. It was never your soul speaking. It was your conditioning, echoing in the hallways of your past. But you are not your past. You are not the missed opportunities, the abandoned dreams, the closed doors, the should-haves, or the timelines that unraveled. You are this moment. You are the breath that expands without effort. You are the awareness that watches without judgment. You are the presence that listens without trying to fix. You are the light that remained, even in the longest night. You are the calm after the storm, the clarity after the chaos, the stillness after the striving. You are what was always meant to be. And what is meant for you, truly meant for you, cannot be rushed. It cannot be missed. It cannot be destroyed. It can only arrive when you are fully ready to receive it. Not with trembling hands, but with an open heart. Not with desperation, but with devotion. So take this breath, take this moment, and know, nothing is wasted. No part of your journey has been a detour. Every step has led you here. Every loss carved space for grace. Every silence deepened your listening. Every delay was a message from the divine saying, not yet, because something greater is forming. And now, you're no longer fighting that truth. You're welcoming it. You're no longer demanding your life bend to your timing. You're flowing with the mystery of it all. You're no longer trying to outrun the pain. You're walking through it with open eyes and a steady heart, knowing that even this is part of the rhythm. You're not who you were. You're not who you thought you had to be. You are who you always were, beneath the fear. A soul in perfect harmony with a universe that never makes a mistake. And now you walk differently. Not faster, not more forcefully, but with reverence, with grace, with a quiet knowing that whatever is coming is already yours, that you don't have to run toward it, you just have to rise into it. You just have to meet it by being the truest expression of yourself. And that is freedom. Freedom from urgency, freedom from self-judgment, freedom from timelines built on fear. This is the liberation of the soul that knows, I don't have to rush, I don't have to beg, I don't have to grasp, I just have to trust, open, allow, and life will meet me there. And when it does, it will not be because you forced it, it will be because you became it. The miracle will not come to rescue you, it will come to reflect you. It will not arrive to prove your worth. It will arrive because you finally remembered you were worthy all along. This is the divine unfolding. This is the sacred rhythm. This is your soul, awake and alive, moving with the timing of eternity. So now, breathe. Not because you're waiting for something, but because you are something. You are not waiting for the right time. You are the right time. You are the light that dawns in perfect silence. And divine timing is always right.